My name is Winnie Tuitoek, the director, the Voice Network of Endorois Indigenous Women and Youth. It's a community-based organization, and one of our objectives is to advocate for the land rights of the Endorois people who are living here around Lake Bogoria and other parts of Baringo South and Mogotio and the larger Baringo County. As we all know that the Endorois community used to live here next to Lake Bogoria, but then people at that time were evicted by the government to pave way for the functionability of a game reserve and other tourism activities. And during that time, in 2010, there was a case at the African Court in Gambia, and this community won in that case, where it was ruled that the community should be compensated by the government of Kenya, and the court gave some recommendations, and up to date the government of Kenya has not really met some of those recommendations, and the Endorois community, being a marginalized and a minority community here, is still facing challenges due to that eviction. When this community was displaced, it was displaced from its ancestral homeland where they used to have their cultural activities, they used to do their farming here, but since then the community is still facing challenges. The people here cannot really engage in some of the economic activities that they used to do before. It's still a marginalized community facing numerous challenges, and the organization here now, as the name suggests, The Voice, is here to give a platform to the people of the Endorois community, especially the youth and the women, to be able to raise their voices and talk about the challenges in the community, advocate for their rights. The Voice Network of Endorois Indigenous Women and Youth is also here to help preserve our culture as the Endorois people. Nowadays, so many people are not conversant with the cultural practices of our community, which were done way before, even when we were born. We're going to use this platform to be able to preserve our culture, have our cultural stories from even our elder people. They'll be telling us about the processes of various cultural practices that were done before. And with this, knowing that the internet does not forget, we'll have these stories and many more in our social media accounts, where even generations to come will be able to find them in our social media and be able to learn from them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Josephat Kimei, the researcher, one of the researchers in a CBO known as Voice of Endorois Indigenous Women and Youth in Marigat Sub-County, Baringo South constituency. This CBO is registered under the Social Services of Kenya, and it has 5 objectives dealing with the indigenous people, specifically the Endorois in Lake Bogoria and the larger Baringo South. It is a CBO that gives a platform to the silent voices in this community. It's also a CBO that is concerned with education empowerment in this community. It's also concerned with entrepreneurship, specifically women and youth entrepreneurship, by giving them education on skills on how they should go about issues to do with entrepreneurship. It's also concerned with conservation and preservation of indigenous culture in the Endorois community. And lastly, it is concerned with the conservation of the environment in an indigenous Endorois community, starting with the Lake Bogoria area and all the way to Baringo South. Endorois community, having occupied the basins of Lake Bogoria, as you can see within this jurisdiction, you know, it is a patriarchal society whereby the youth and the women have no voices before their fathers, before the elders in the community. Therefore, this CBO has come in handy to give voices to these youth and women in so many matters, one of them being the issue of land. Women and youth in the indigenous Endorois community have no voice when it comes to the issue of land. But this CBO has come in to unravel this issue, to give them a platform to bring out their issues. It's also important to note that this community has suffered for long. You know, being an indigenous community, being a very small community among the Tugens, you know, they are so much discriminated and marginalized in so many aspects. Talk of economic empowerment from both the county and the national government. Talk on the employment opportunities given to the youth and women in this land. They are so much segregated. They don't get equal share in respect to other Tugen communities in this particular area, specifically Baringo South and the larger Baringo County. That's why this CBO, the voice of Endorois, indigenous women and youth, has come in to help them, you know, get this platform to air their issues. This CBO has come in to actually transform, through empowerment, the indigenous youth and women in the Endorois community. Starting from conservation of the environment, coming to documentation of the indigenous Endorois histories from the orals, storytelling, and all those that it pertains, because it's an organization that will concern itself with the research works, hence ending up publishing what has not been documented concerning Endorois community. Youth empowerment is a factor that has been mentioned, which this CBO again is coming in to ensure that the youth in this community are empowered in all aspects, morally, socially, economically, and even politically. This is the only CBO which is giving them the voices, as it has been said, Bunge Mashinani. This is the group that is transforming this community.
Being the voice, as the group name indicates, we are here to support and hear the voices of the marginalized. We will be engaging several groups, communities, marginalized groups, and other stakeholders on views about how they are being treated by the governance of today, how the services of the government reaches them, how they are segregated in some other functions, how they are marginalized in maybe employment, and some other income that should benefit them. We will be discussing with them and see how we can voice out their concerns, their agendas, how they can get to be integrated with other communities, how they can benefit. That is basically what the Voice Network means. And being Voice Network of Endorois, women and youth, we will be majorly focusing on women and youth so that they can be treated equally. The traditions that were existing before can be shelved aside first, get some services, treated equally, and have a better society.
I am Twitter Chirchir. I'm now standing around the base of Lake Bogoria, whereby Lake Bogoria has extended its territories for around 5 kilometers. Now that it has affected our land, and everybody has actually vacated from the original place, and now everybody is crying that the lake has actually taken up their land. Now in Lake Bogoria, we had wildlife around Lake Bogoria, and people now, because of submerge of this lake, people have gone to live where the animal used to be, whereby they live inside Lake Bogoria. And now that our visitors are coming and they don't see animals, because now they come to see human beings, not animals again, because actually people have encroached the lake. And now we could request that issue to be discussed thoroughly, because actually it's a very big problem that when the visitors come from Europe, America, and all the other places from outside Kenya, they used to come to see the tourism side, animals, but
it is too unfortunate that they are come to see human beings like them. Flamingos, whereby they don't have a place to land, because actually we have service in this place, whereby it has a lot of thorns, so, and it's very poisonous. It kills our flamingos, and actually that flamingos actually is part of our tourism. Now nobody has received any assistance from the government of Kenya. People actually are outcrying over there. Need some help from the government, and up to now nobody has received any assistance from the government of Kenya. People now have lost their centers, trade centers, hospital. All public utilities now have been taken away by Lake Bogoria.